two.
Hey folks, welcome to 2022 Orcas Island, Odyssey Swimrun, Orcas Island. We're really jazzed to be here. I'm Lars Finanger. I'm joined by race director, race conceptualizer, just all around badass adventure racer, swim runner, Brent Molesbury. I think he's down on the bottom on your screen. We're going to hear from him as we kind of dive into the nitty gritty of the event. And then, as always, if you've done any of our other swim runs, the operations side of our business, the guy who makes everything organized and makes it all tick, Aaron Pallion, and his dog Hero, who just ran upstairs. He'll be back down. Unfortunately, Brent's sweet little daughter is not joining us today, but so you just got us three old farts. But we're really excited, folks, to have you joining us. This is, God, Brent, is this our third year or fourth year of the race?
The fourth year of the race.
It feels like in some ways our sixth year, and it feels like in some ways our third year, because we missed the year with COVID there. But God, we're really excited to be coming back at you next weekend. Swim run. I always laugh when I think about Orcas Island because Jeff Cole, who was my partner at the original swim run series, we reached out to Brent, and we wanted to do a swim run between the San Juan Islands. And it just took one conversation with Brent for him to just say, guys, you've never been out here. Give me a break. I got a great course for you. And he's not lying. This course is going to rock you to your core. There's not a single step where you're on flat ground. It's either up or downhill. These alpine lakes are just crystal clear. It's just a phenomenal course, and it just screams swim run, which is awesome. So we're really excited to have you here. Before we dive into the actual course, I just want to give just a really quick intro to the sport of swim run for those of you who are doing it for the first time. We started out as a team of two event. So you and your partner, you had to be within 10 meters at all times, did all the swims, did all the runs. We opened it up in the last couple of years for solo participants as well. Last year was the first year that we had long course for solo athletes as well. That worked really well. But, the genesis of swim run is that we are all in this together. And that's whether you're with a teammate, that's whether it's a fellow athlete of yours. If you see anyone out there on the course having some difficulty throughout the day, as first person on scene, just talk to one another out there and just enjoy the day and the experience that you're all going through. There is a time that's running, through your chip, but at the end of the day, we're all in this for just a great experience, for really being small against nature. It's just massive landscape out there on Orcas. And so, we really are, you'll feel small as a human just being able to move through just such a beautiful landscape. So to let you know really quick, our youngest athlete on the day this weekend is going to be 21 years old. So that's pretty awesome. That's a hell of a thing to do at such a young age. And we've got 11 people who are over the age of 60, which is just also crazy. They're my inspiration, of course, as kind of we go into that next stage of our lives. And 66 is our oldest racer. We've always in swim run been about 50-50 with men and women participating. This year it's 54% men and 46% women, which is pretty awesome. We still got a week left, so maybe some of the ladies are withholding their registrations till the end. Maybe it'll break 50-50. And then the state of Washington, I was actually surprised it was this far of a lead, but 111 people coming from Washington State, which is pretty fantastic. 30 from Colorado, so that's a pretty big delta between the biggest state and the second. 24 from California. Then Oregon, we got 8 people coming in from Texas, and then BC 7, which also means that Canada as a whole has 10. So 10 Canadians. Last year we had 0. I think there were some travel restrictions that were still in play. So we're excited to have all of our Canadian friends back. And then one athlete coming over from the UK, which is awesome. You've come a long way. We're going to show you a great time. Maybe this is the point where I can say that I think we have maybe the single best post-race finish line food in the sport, maybe in all endurance sports. Pizza Jim and his gang will be flinging pizzas until you can't eat anymore. We're just absolutely stoked. I've said enough. Brent, let him have it, buddy.
All right. Well, as Lars said, welcome. We're excited to have you out to Orcas for this 2022 rendition of the Orcas Island Swim Run. It should be a great week out there, or weekend, as we're lining up. Yeah, just with getting out there, there's always a few questions about the ferries. If you have not already got a ferry reservation for coming out, and you check right now and there's no ferry reservations available, only 60% of the boat so far has been reserved. And so if you haven't got a reservation yet, you can still do that. The ferry reservations come available 2 days before the sailing. So if you want to come out on Saturday, Thursday morning at 7 a.m. Pacific time, another 30% of the boat opens up for reservations. So if you haven't already reserved your ferry, wait until, and it's full, wait until 2 days before your ferry trip, and then 7 a.m. Pacific time is when those additional 30% of the boat opens up, and then they leave 10% up open for drive ups and standby. Aaron, do you want to go ahead and cover some of the pre-race logistics, and then I'll take over the course?
Yeah, absolutely. Welcome, everybody. My name's Aaron Pally, and I've been on all the meetings so far this year. Like Lars says, I take care of a lot of the back end stuff and logistics and organization, like run sign up, which is registration, our website, packet pickup, timing, a lot of that stuff. So I'm going to run through the schedule.
Aaron, I'm sorry, I do just want to interject. Hey, folks, if Aaron wasn't there, your questions would go unanswered, because Brent and I mean, hey, we're out there playing just like you guys are throughout the week and getting our training in. But Aaron is exceptional when it comes to running our support and customer service. So thanks, Aaron.
Thank you, Lars. Appreciate it. So yeah, I'm the one that answers the emails, most of them, when you guys email, and hopefully you get the answer you want and you're taken care of. So if you have any questions, just reach out, but hopefully we answer everything in this session we're going to do. And then the website, especially if you visit the frequently asked questions and rules section, it has the answers to most everything else. So guys, you can see my screen, right? I've shared it.
Yep. Okay.
So go to the Odyssey site. All of you are familiar with this, I'm sure, assuming you've registered already and you're watching this. This is the Orcas Island page. So I'm going to let, when Brent takes back over on the course, he can go over some of this, like longest run and all the gain on the course and that kind of stuff. So we're going to skip over that. We're going to come down to the scheduled events. So Brent went over the ferry a little bit. I'm going to assume you guys are already on the island for Saturday's packet pickup. There was an option early in the game when we first started, and you may have registered really early, where we were mailing packets, but this year's been exceptionally bad for mail carriers, losing things, damaging things being super delayed. So I've already emailed you guys, but in case you haven't got that and you did pay extra to have your package shipped, the reason you haven't got it yet is because we decided to not risk it and to roll you guys into our race morning packet pickup. So that is an upgrade from the packet shipping. You get that upgrade for free. All your packets that if you did the shipping or the race morning packet pickup, those will all be pre-stuffed, ready to go. Super easy and quick to just open the bag up and take everything out of it. Not like a triathlon where most of you would want to get your stuff more in advance than that. You should be absolutely fine race morning. I'll have those for you in the same building, or at the, look at the inflatable for the start and finish first. Should be on a table under a tent over there. If it's not, go into the beach house that is right next door to it, maybe up on the deck or in the back there, and just go in and find it in there. It'd be in there. Packet pickup, going back a day, Saturday. Packet pickup's going to be from 1 to 4. And I'll expand this window here. All right. So 1 to 4 overall is packet pickup in the beach house, which is again right by the start and finish over at Rosario. 1 to 2 o'clock is when we like to do the short course athletes. 2 to 3 is long course athletes, and 3 to 4 is the overflow. So we'd prefer if you came during your allotted time, that hour, for whatever course you're doing. If you can't make it, of course, you can come 3 to 4. You can come in the other hour for the other pickup, whatever. But getting a majority when we want them is the way to go. So real quick for packet pickup, because despite the emails that I send, you should get one Wednesday. It's already scheduled. And you'll get one on Saturday to remind you. They are the same email. They do have a QR code in there that's specially coded to your registration. So if you have that handy when you come to pick your packet up, along with your government issued ID, photo ID, I do not need your USAT license, whether that's temporary or the annual or whatever. It's all automatic. I don't need that anymore. Just your ID and the QR code. So let's see here. You do have to pick up your own packet. It is far more beneficial for us and easier if you pick up as a team, but it is not mandatory that you do so. Again, you have to pick up your own packet, period. No exception. Our insurance is negated if we start allowing people to pick up other people's packets. Let me scroll down through here, guys. Just stay with me here. In your packet, you will receive a race number bib. Brent, do you happen to have one with you?
Hold on 1 second. I'll grab it.
Okay. So Brent's going to grab that race number bib. It's essentially a singlet, a little bit tighter. You're going to get a silicone swim cap that'll match that, either blue or red, and you'll get a collapsible cup, a green collapsible cup. That cup is to be carried with you during the event, and it's what you use at the aid stations because we're a cupless event. We also will sell flasks. I think Lars has examples there. He has a red cup, which you get will be green. And the flask he has is clear, but we're selling blue ones there that have the Odyssey logo. And so the flask is likely a little better. You can fill that thing up, carry it with you, take water as you want. The cup is more of a aid station to aid station kind of thing. But you do have to carry that with you.
Yeah, Aaron, while we're talking about that, and Brent will get into this, but there are often times on this course that you are going to be upwards of 5 kilometers or more without an aid station. So my recommendation at least would be to do the foldable flask. It carries I think it's 500 milliliters. So basically what you do is you can just put that into the inside of your suit while you're swimming, or into the back of a pocket. And then once you fill it up, you just carry it in your hand while you're running it. It's fantastic. And
just to say something else on that, while we're kind of talking about aid stations and stuff, the aid stations that are out there will have electrolytes, precision hydration tablets like that will be in one of the water coolers for electrolytes. They have very little calories in them, but they're great to keep you hydrated. And then one of the coolers will have just water. And then we'll have precision hydration gels, which do have calories and electrolytes in those. Most of them will just be those items we just said. There may be a handful that have more, maybe like some peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, or crackers, cookies, whatever. But bring your own nutrition if that's something that you specifically want that we don't have out there. So anything to add to that, guys, before I move on here? No? Okay. You will get a timing chip and an ankle strap. Those are the bibs. Let's skip to that real quick. So we have a red version of that too. The blue one is short course. The white piping around the outside, which I can't tell, that one has it, right? Is it white piping on that one? Yeah. Okay, so short course has the white edges, and solo has the white edges. Short course is blue and long course is red. And the front of it, guys, just so you know, the front is the bigger number with just the logo like written out. The logo itself, the picture logo, is on the back of the jersey. Okay, those are yours to keep. So is the silicone swim cap. The cup is yours to keep, but the timing chip and the ankle strap need to come back to us. If you're a solo athlete, you're going to get a rest tube. Do you have a rest tube, Lars? Rest tube, wear that around your waist like a little mini fanny pack, and you pull on that cord there if you get in trouble, and it will auto inflate a rest tube, a rescue tube. You can also blow on that as a whistle so we can hear you on the end of the pull cord. And so it's bright yellowish orange when it inflates, so we can see that you're out there and in need of help. That needs to be returned at the end as well. Those of you that rented wetsuits, we have about, I'm thinking about 30 that we've rented out. We should have a few left. If you need some, or if you need to change any of the add-ons currently, log into your Run signup account, click on the manage/edit button for the registration. And then in the top menu buttons, you should see add-on, the add-on link. Click that, and then you can add a wetsuit if you need one. Okay. We're almost out of those. I think less than a dozen left. So reserve those quick.
And Aaron, really quick,
Yeah.
those wetsuits are the Arc brand. And I mean, it's quite simply just the absolute best wetsuit that's in the sport of swim run. Aaron and I just came back from Sweden, and what do you think, Aaron? 90% of the field?
Yeah.
I mean,
not just that.
Such a high percentage of the field, but with such a large amount of running on this course, the legs on the Arc suits are so thin that they just allow you to run almost like if you're in a triathlon, shorts or something like that, or a bike shorts. But the top is also really thin on the neoprene, but it's very tight to your skin, and so the water doesn't seep in. But they're optimized for swim run. That's what they do. I think the suits that we rent is the Corp, which is their intro, but still phenomenal suits.
Yeah, and guys, we got a chance. I mean, Lars I've known the owners of these companies, and I got a chance to actually meet them when we were in Sweden. And besides having great products, we couldn't ask for better sponsors, guys. They care about the sport. They care about their customers. Arc and Precision, both great companies, great people. So support them when you can, if you can, and they greatly appreciate that. Okay, so I think that's about it with this mandatory gear. We do have a list of it under frequently asked questions and rules. We are not going to check it at packet pickup. We're all adults. We assume that you're going to do what you should and follow the rules. But during the race, we may ask you, or if something happens where we're talking to you, or you end up in a situation where you're talking to medical or a volunteer, that might get checked. And if you don't have that, it could be a disqualification. So just make sure, we've got a couple of questions, more than a couple now, about the compression bandage, the Israeli bandage that we linked to. Lars, do you want to talk about that? Because the questions we get more often than not with that are, does it have to be that big? Do we need that bandage?
I have, I thought I had one here, but I mean, really this thing fits in just it's no more than just a couple square inches by a couple square inches. And really the purpose, folks, is you're going to be out in Timbuktu for stretches of this race where you're away from the medical support that we have. We're not going to be quick to be able to get to you. And so if you've fallen and say, sliced your knee on a rock and you're bleeding, it's quite simply just to stop the bleeding until you can get to medical, or until medical can get to you. So, we really need you to and your teammate to have that with you, so that in the case of a bruise, a scrape, something where you're bleeding, you can stop that. Of course, use your discretion. You don't, if you are bleeding, not every cut is the same, but you'll know.
And you want to talk
I actually am not sure that we've ever had anyone who's needed to use it. It's something that we need to have as a defensive precaution.
Do you want to talk about the tether for the team? So
the tether, what started out as really in kind of a safety mechanism for Swimrun to keep keep you and your teammate within 10 meters of one another, has really turned into more of a strategical thing to use. So basically, if you can find an elastic cord which will connect you and your teammate, it's a massive advantage if you're in the swim, if you're in one of these lakes and you can just swim your own pace, and you talk with your teammate about who might be the faster swimmer, have them go in the front, and then that second person can just be towed right behind at the length of that tether. And the person in front never has to look back, look back, try to identify, geez, in these, 200 athletes, 300 athletes, which one is my teammate? Because they're connected to you, who they are. If on the run course, maybe throughout the day, one of you is always going to be feeling, potentially down and the other one up. It's a roller coaster out there. And with that tether, it just provides a bit of an assist for a person who might be struggling a little bit. So, if you listen to very experienced swim runners, they say that sometimes you don't even need to talk with one another. The tether is what communicates, which, is a bit esoteric, but it also, has some truth to it, that you can tell if that tether is stretching out, well, then maybe that person in the back, the pace is pretty hot and, they're having to work pretty hard. With that said, communication between one another, verbal is still the best way to do it. But yeah, we say that, because we are in exposed territory, weather can come in very quickly. We do make it mandatory that you bring a tether. It is not mandatory that you use the tether, but we do want to have the option in case weather does come in, chop on the lakes, which are usually pretty calm. But we do want to have the option, if we need to, for safety's sake, to say, hey, use the tether on the water to get yourself across, safely.
And then some of this gear, like the tether and how to store your pull buoy as you run, if you're using one, different things like that. The Low Tide Boys, if you go to YouTube and you search Low Tide Boys, they have a bunch of videos, short, quick videos on how to do that. And I know one of our athletes, Marcus, also does some good videos as far as those things go. So
yeah, so I think Aaron, you hit it on the head. The Low Tide Boys with a Z, the Low Tide Boys with a Z.com. They even have in-depth videos on our specific course where Brent has gone in and talked about, how-tos within our race. So I would definitely suggest going to there. And this week would be a great time to do that. And then Marcus Barton, who Aaron was referring to, probably the single most experienced swim runner in the US. And his website, I think, is called speedylizard.com. Yeah. So Speedy Lizard and the Low Tide Boys with a Z.
And the Low Tide Boys obviously have a podcast as well that is the most well-known podcast in all of Swimrun. So yeah, great resources, guys. But back to the rest of this here. Wetsuits, mandatory. No matter what your skill level is, none of that matters. We can't make special exceptions, and just wetsuits are mandatory. And no wetsuit shorts with no top is not an answer. It has to be wetsuit, classified as a wetsuit, top to bottom. If you rent a wetsuit, they do come with sleeves. If you want them, just let us know. We do sell merchandise at Pack and Pickup. We've got a few things like hats and shirts and stickers, swim caps, mugs, that kind of stuff. And that is about it with Pack and Pickup. So we're going to move on here. Let me go back to, wrong one. There we go. Okay. So back to schedule of events. Pack and Pickup's done on Saturday. This constitutes our mandatory race briefing. We don't have that in person, but you're more than welcome to ask questions at Pack and Pickup. So on race day, you can see here that we have two expandable menus. One is long course, both obviously Sunday. Long course starts at 7:30 at Rosario, right next to the beach house in that grass area. And short course starts at 9 o'clock. So I'm going to let Brent talk about the course itself. And the only other thing on here for the timing is the cutoff. And you guys can talk about these cutoffs and we'll go from there. So Brent, go ahead and take it.
All right. You think you can pull up the course map?
You want me to do long course and then we can just talk where it's for short?
Yep. That sounds great. All right. So here's the course. Overall, there's a total of 14 runs and 13 swims. And so Rosario here, as we're looking, the beach house is what Aaron is kind of circling right there, that square building right there. That's where packet pickup will be. That's kind of like race headquarters area. The parking lot that's just lookers left of that is largely going to be filled with race equipment on race day. Pizza Rocks and that whole crew will be parked right in there. That's where the after stuff will be. So for parking on race morning, Aaron, if you scroll to the south, so down just a little bit, there we go. And if you zoom in kind of just below the, up to the right, yeah, right in there. So you can see the gravel parking lot that's just below the marina that Aaron is circling there. So that's a great place to park for those who are not staying at Rosario. If you're staying at Rosario Resort, which is our host resort, and is it doesn't get any easier than staying there, please just leave your car at your hotel and condo or whatever thing you have rented, and just walk on down to the start. Everything's super close. The restaurant will be open in the main hotel. And for those coming in from elsewhere, that parking area, that gravel lot just to the south of the pool is the best spot to park. And then it's just a short walk around the kind of around the marina to get to the start. So the start of the course itself, there's about a mile-long run. So it's right where Aaron has it there. So basically it's a gravel start. You do this loop, kind of come through the resort. There's a pretty significant hill climb that hits you right in the face after about a quarter of a mile. And you'll head up the road, take the right on Ocean Mist, and you kind of loop back through the resort. And then you're going to hop into the water for swim 1. And swim run is relatively short, 260 meters. It is the one and only swim that's in saltwater, and it will very quickly inform you why we don't have any other swims in the saltwater. It is refreshing to say the least, typically in the low 50s. But you get a nice little warm up beforehand. You're going to pop out of the water, and then you have a kind of loop back through almost by the start, and then you start going uphill real fast. And so you're going to run up out of the resort on run 2. And in this case, both the long course and the short course share the start and share these first few swims. So run 2 heads up, has a very steep climb to get up to Cascade Lake. Then you're going to come into here to Rosario Lagoon for your second swim, which is again a relatively short swim. The lagoon is going to feel very warm after being down in Rosario Bay there. Once you pop out, you're going to basically take an immediate right, and you're going to come across this bridge, and you're going to run around that kind of south side of the lake over to the South End campground for swim 3. And swim 3 basically brings you on a backtrack. It's one of the longer swims, about 800 meters, and you'll pop up on the opposite side of that bridge. Then it's a fairly flat, well, kind of rolling run for run 4 that heads along that west side of the lake. And then the jump into swim 4, this is where the cliff is, the cliff jump. And so you'll see we'll have a flower arrow out there that one side will say jump. If you don't want to jump there, you can sneak down. There's kind of a little sneaker line to the right, so you don't have to jump. But it's a pretty fun 10-foot drop or so to jump into the water there.
So that little going down, I've fallen in the water 3 years in a row there. So you may as well jump, because it's way worse going down. And I've saved my camera 3 times too. So it's super slippery.
It might be a good time to bring up the fact that the footwear that you'll want to use are lightweight trail running shoes, if possible, that have nice rubber lugs on them. There's a bunch of brands, Hoka, everything under the sun, Hoka, VJ, Solomon, etc. But Brent, like Aaron just said, going down, not jumping and going down is kind of more dangerous than jumping.
Well, and I'm going to try and be floating in the water here this year to get a different perspective of people jumping in the water, getting pictures. So yeah, just go ahead and jump right on top of me.
And I would say, and of course, you know, us dummies who are landlocked here jump in for the cliff jump to steal Brent's thunder. But gotta say, folks, this is an area where you take the tether off when you jump into off the cliff jump. I mean, we can all imagine the scenario where one teammate jumps in and the other one's still, you know, maybe having a second guess or something. Untether right there, guys, and make sure that where you're jumping below has been cleared by other swim runners. We don't want you jumping on anyone down there.
Yeah, look before you leap.
There you go.
Hold your goggles too, guys. Every time I'm over there, I see at least half a dozen people lose their goggles and try to dive down and find them. Just hold all your crap when you jump.
If you have an option of somewhere to practice, even just jumping off a dock, just practice a few times so you're holding all your stuff and keep it all together. But it is also very fun. So that swim 4, you'll swim across the way. So this will actually be, I forgot to mention the first aid station is right before swim 3 at the South End campground. Right there will be an aid station. And then at the end of the swim 4, there'll be an aid station here as well. And so you can fuel up and hydrate. This is a little bit longer run. This is probably the longest. It's about as long as run as the short course does, but it's about 2.5 miles. This run, you climb up basically consistently from Cascade Lake all the way to Mountain Lake. So it's about 450 feet total of elevation gain. As you head up, it's all single track, except for a little section of double track towards the top. This is where the long course and the short course diverge. And so we'll just stick with the long course here for now. So the long course, once you get up to Mountain Lake, this is your longest swim of the day. And so this swim, you cut off the main trail. It's a little social path that heads down to the water. And this is 800 to 900 meters. It's a swim going south to north, basically, and you swim to a small island out in Cascade Lake. And so the marking for this will be a big orange floating buoy that says Brandon Nelson Partners on it. And it's about 3 to 4 feet high, very visible, but that'll be floating right off that south end of that little island. You're then going to traverse the little island. It's super technical travel. And then you will hop in on that western shore little island, do a short little swim back across to the shoreline trail of the lake. And you'll take a left as you come out of that swim, and you'll run to Mountain Lake Landing. And this is where your next aid station is. And from here is where things really start to go up for the long course. So this is the biggest climb of the day. You're going to start from Mountain Lake Landing, and it is all uphill to the top of Mount Constitution. And so you're starting at about 600-800 feet, and the top of Mount Constitution is at 2,400 feet. So it is a substantial climb, all single track. Particularly some of the earlier parts of that climb are very steep. So move efficiently, but you don't want to burn yourself out on that climb because it's a long one. There'll be another aid station up the top, up by that there's a really cool view tower up there. And then you'll descend down the north side of Mount Constitution to Twin Lakes. And you're going to have 2 swims on Twin Lakes. These lakes tend to be a little cooler, but you've been out of the water for a while, so it tends to not be too bad. Once you pop out of Twin Lakes, you have another pretty substantial climb that is going to take you from that second Twin Lake to the top of Mount Pickett. There will be an aid station here at the top of Mount Pickett. That trail coming up Mount Pickett starts as single track, and the end kind of finishes as more of a double track. Just past the aid station, you're going to turn off that double track and hop onto a single track trail. And this is called the You'll eventually hit the mystery trail out here. Really beautiful, like lots of moss on the trail. It's really pretty out there. Aaron, if you zoom in to where it kind of takes that hard left-hand turn there, right in there, can you zoom in a little bit? So as you're running down the trail here, it doesn't quite show up that there's another trail there, but eventually as you're going on this trail, you need to make a hard right-hand turn on what's called the mystery trail. This is a corner that you don't want to miss. And so this is where that heads up racing comes in. So you're looking for these bright pink ribbons. And when you're coming up to this corner, there's going to be a lot of ribbons and there's going to be a couple different arrows like Lars is holding right there. And they are going to be telling you to turn right. The trail keeps going straight, but if you keep going straight, you're going to drop into what I affectionately call the pit of despair, because it just goes down and down and down and down, and it drops you way down the backside of Mount Pickett. And there's trails that come out of there, but they all go up and up and up and up. And it is a very long, arduous climb to get out of there back to Mountain Lake. So this is a turn that you really want to make to cut across. The mystery trail basically kind of contours. There's some ups and downs on it for sure, but it will contour around and it's going to drop you back on the main Mount Pickett Road. You're then going to take a right off that road towards Mountain Lake Landing, and then you'll take the loop trail that goes around Mountain Lake. And about halfway down that trail, you're going to make a left and get in the water. And this is where you might see some short course swimmers who will be coming in a almost opposite direction. They're coming from the little island up there instead. But yeah, so you can see on the short course, they're going to be swimming towards you at about a 45, but you're going to cut straight across Mountain Lake, right to Mountain Lake Landing. You're going to get out on the dock at Mountain Lake Landing. Once you climb out on the dock, you can hit the aid station. And now you're going to head along the Lakeshore Trail, heading to the north. And you've got 3 more swims up here in Mountain Lake for the long course. The first one is right by, there's actually a rope swing up there. And so it's kind of a steep, rocky shoreline entrance. There have been some reports of some hornets in that area that we will double check. And so you may see some extra markings on the ground to avoid any sort of bee activity in that area. So you'll swim across, do kind of that northern loop of the shore trail, and then you're going to do a swim to the island, cross this little island, and then swim back to the main shoreline. Now you're on the shoreline trail. It's mostly flat. There is one kind of significant climb as you're heading back along that shoreline, which has 2 switchbacks, and most people walk that. But once you're at the top of that, it's really a nice, like pretty gentle, slight downhill grade for a ways. That's going to feel really nice at this point. You do double back on yourself very briefly. So just follow the signs. If the arrows are pointing in the opposite direction of the way you're going, then they don't really apply to you. And you're going to head down the creek trail, go past Cascade Falls, which is a beautiful spot. You will cross the road, Olga Road here, and come across a really cool bridge. And then you're getting really close to the end, but not quite there. And on this last run after you cross Olga Road, you descend down through just massive trees. Some of these Doug firs and cedars are, 5-foot diameter trees. And you're having a great time going generally downhill. And then there's this one just kind of kick you in the groin, really steep, short uphill. But then you start to go downhill again, and you're going to swing back into the Southland Campground. There'll be an aid station there. This will be your last aid station. From there, it's a swim across Cascade Lake. You're going to get out of the water, and you're going to now go on the south side of Rosario Lagoon. This is a really beautiful trail. It is also very technical. So this is not a spot where you're going to make up any time. You just want to move efficiently and safely. And then you have the steep descent from Rosario Lagoon down to the resort. And then a wonderful little jaunt into the finish where we will have pizza and beverages anxiously awaiting your arrival.
Folks, this course was 100% designed by Brent. I mean, one of these years I always think, and then, life gets in the way, but we need like giant bobbleheads of you, cut out cardboard bobbleheads of your face throughout this course, at the summit of Mount Constitution and like on the Mystery Trail. And I mean, Brent is the guy who you can't help but love, but during the race, you just are cursing his name.
Kind of afraid of what would happen to those bobbleheads on the course.
But with the Mystery Trail in particular, folks, it's also, I guess, opening day of mountain bike season. So you are going to have traffic out on the trails, whether it's local hikers or mountain bikers. I think for the most part, we avoid the mountain biking trails. But just be very courteous to anyone who's out on the trail. Oftentimes they don't know that we're out here, and this is their home. These might be hikes that they do every single day. Maybe they don't ever see another person there. So when they see 250, 350 people, it's going to be a bit of a shock. Just give them a 2-finger salute. Maybe just say hi. Just be courteous, because we do want to come back to Orcas, and it goes a long way. So just wanted to say that, in addition to all the course markings, you got to keep your head out for, do try to give some of that swim run love to the Islanders out there.
Something that Brent touched on when he showed the pink tape, the course markings, Lars held up a sign with an arrow on it. It was yellow. The ones you see out there, guys, will be pink, and they'll have our website or our name and on there as well. So the arrows are a little more identifiable that match the tape as pink. And then at the swim exits this year, unlike last year we had these darkish pink colored flags. They weren't that bright. We went full on neon yellow this year. So you'll see huge 20-foot neon yellow exit flags at all the exits. Just to be aware of what you're looking for out there. And you said heads up before, guys, but maybe just reiterate, like, if you're not looking for these things in some areas and their heads down, they're just going to run right by them.
Yeah, definitely. So it's heads up racing. You'll see lots and lots of these flags out there. If it's long sections where there's no other trails that are turning off, like, they'll be fairly spaced out. You can run for a ways without seeing one. But anytime a corner is coming up, we kind of load up just before and just after the corner, so that, like, okay, here's a couple flags all of a sudden really close together. That means I need to be looking for an arrow. Okay, there's the arrow. It tells me I have to go left. I've made the left turn. Now I see a couple more flags. I know I'm on the right trail. So just make sure you're keeping an eye out for those things. We had some issues last year where someone altered our course a little bit after setting it up. And so we are putting in some protocols to hopefully not allow that to happen again. So we will be taking a very
as we went
close
through
look at
that
the trails.
course, everyone saw, it's a massive land footprint, and the majority of it's inaccessible even to bikes. In fact, bikes aren't allowed on some stretches, but we do our absolute best to lay this course in the days leading into the race. And basically this year we've quartered off different sections of the course that each one of us on our staff is responsible for making sure those in the days leading up are in place. And then we'll also have someone who's going in advance of the lead racers this year, just to put eyes on it one more time. But folks, look, this is not triathlon. It's one of our favorite sayings around here, but it has to be said. What that means is there are not volunteers out there at every street corner. There's not police officers who are, directing you where to go. There's not police officers stopping traffic. You're going to have to yield when we cross a few roads. We do cross a few roads. You have to take responsibility for yourself and for your teammate and for your other racers out there. Talk to one another. If you see someone going off down the pit of despair, it's not the kind of racing where you let them just go. call them back, you know, be a good person, and you know, call out if someone misses is going down the wrong trail. We're all out there to look after one another. So that's what heads up racing means.
Did you guys have anything else you wanted to add to this?
You just want to pull up the short course and I'll just talk about the couple little differences around
I
Mountain
just
Lake
want to
there.
add that I'm nervous for you guys. My stomach is in butterflies right now after looking at that course.
I'm fine.
I've done this course. I've raced it 1.5 times. I had the honor to race it with Simon Whitfield, who joined us one year, and we hiked the entire run course. Man, it's brutal. You are going to get your money's worth.
Yeah. But beautiful. It's a gorgeous course.
It is gorgeous. It is hard as hell also.
All right, here you go, Brent.
All right. So for the short course, the only place it differs from the long course is up there at Mountain Lake. And so as you come up to Mountain Lake, it actually stays along the shoreline, goes through Mountain Lake Landing, where that aid station is. And then you'll go past the aid station, past the boat launch, and you'll take the right, and then you'll do the swim in the opposite direction of the long course. You'll do a little swim out to the island, traverse the island, and then you do that 45 over to that little bay, and there'll be a large marker over there that will lead you out, and then you'll just follow the tail end of it is the exact same as the long course.
Okay.
And so once you get across Mountain Lake, you just have one more swim to go to get back to the finish.
And any other venue, the short course would be would be so tough. This short course is nothing to write home of. I mean, it's a beast also. This course is a beast and just a, you know, mammoth. It's they're both very, very difficult courses. So we commend you guys for, you know, even taking the initiative to get yourself into shape to show up. You're gonna have a great day out there.
All
And
right.
then along those lines, like Lars was mentioning, saying hi to other trail users, being courteous to them. Also, big shout outs to all the volunteers who are helping us out. I mean, we can't put on an event like this without volunteers. So give them big shout outs, big thanks. If you got somebody coming out with you that wants to help out, we can always use more help. So have them email us or check online. There's a link for volunteering, and they can come be part of the race and not just a spectator.
And, you know, in terms of spectating, definitely Rosario is absolutely, you know, phenomenal place for spectators to be. There's enough going on there. Once the race leaves, you can just hang out there all day, families, etc. But then go to the two lakes, Cascade Lake and Mountain Lake are both great spots. And, you know, there's aid stations there. You can, you know, help out as need be as well. But those are both really good spots to see athletes.
Once you do, one more thing on that, once you do leave, if you go up to the lakes as a spectator, it is in Moran State Park. And so you will need a state park pass to park up there. They sell them multiple places, little automated machines. I think it's $10 a day or $30 for the year if you don't have a Washington State Parks pass. But if you're going to spectate, make sure you have a parks pass. And the aid station that's at the South End campground, that's in the campground, so there's no parking there. So you'll have to park. It's about a quarter mile up the road. There's kind of a gravel parking lot right by their shop. And so you can park there and then walk into that South End campground.
The course map, guys, it's online. We switched to these Google Live Maps, I think well over a year ago, because they're easier for us to manage. And also when we're setting the course, I know you guys set the courses. I'm out there for Mackinac, but they're easy for us to see too, just to make sure that everything's right. And then also as spectators, if you share these with friends and family and volunteers, it's easy for them to get where they need to be. They're not always exactly perfect, but they're pretty close, and they'll get you where you need to go. Out there, the reception's not so good, except for T-Mobile. There's T-Mobile towers out there. So T-Mobile's fantastic. And some of the other service is spotty. It's not horrid, but well, no, it's horrid.
It's hard. T-Mobile, unless you got T-Mobile, you don't have
Yeah.
much coverage out there.
Yeah, so just be aware of that. But I think we want to say thanks to all you guys too. I know that times necessarily aren't as good right now as they might have been for some of you a year or two ago, and we certainly appreciate the business, especially with rising prices of everything all around the country. So it means a lot to us guys that you're still coming out and that you choose to race with us with all these other races out there that you could choose from. The fact you chose us is says a lot. So thank you so much for that.
It is just one more thing though. This race is unique in the fact that with Casco Bay and I think one or two other races in the US, it has a designation as an Otillo merit race. The Otillo is the series that has a world championship race that takes place in Sweden. Orcas was one of the first races to be designated a merit race. Essentially what that means is you get qualifying points if you have that world championship race in your crosshairs for next year. This might actually be the very first merit race opportunity to start getting points for that race. So that's not everyone, but for the folks there are definitely people on the starting line who come because we have qualifying points. So that's a nice little feather in the cap as well. But yeah, guys, thank you for joining us tonight, and have a great week resting, tapering, whatever it's called. Get some sleep the couple nights out, because you got a bear on your hands. Thanks to Brent.
All right, guys.
Thanks,
See you
everybody.
later.
We'll see you on the island.
Bye.